I think oftentimes we look at law enforcement in the community and we're like, oh, they write tickets and they take you to jail. But I think we're missing a tremendous foundation of which, you show up and fight, especially passionate officers like yourself, you show up and fight for people who can't.
We're those ducks, we're floating up underneath, where inside I'm a mess too, It's like, this is hard,
Yeah, the first step to fixing a problem or an issue in your life is admitting that you have one.
Yeah,
And that can be the toughest thing, but
we put this stuff away to go to the next.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another amazing, exciting, and of course, yours truly, the most enthusiastic ever, Chris Burns, president and founder. So grateful to be here, and today to be joined by a good friend, both in jiu-jitsu and in life, and we have Curtis Curran here today. He's a 22-year police veteran in New Mexico. He's worked all across different branches and resourced the community in a lot of different ways. But since we've gone in network here at Peaks Recovery, we've started to see a lot of first responders. And certainly with our TRICARE, Tri-West contracts online, we're seeing a lot of military folks, combat veterans, their families. And it's been my experience over the last couple of years since we started seeing these individuals that they're one of the most underserved populations and under-resourced. Their ability to reach out for help is blocked oftentimes by a variety of things, including mental health issues, trauma, and scarcity in the environment. So I couldn't be more grateful today to be joined by a good friend and brother, Curtis. Thanks for joining us.
The honor is mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And we've gotten some roles in jiu-jitsu, and I've talked a lot about on this show how community often comes in a variety of different ways, and my community lately, certainly my recovery community, is at jiu-jitsu. I like to be a part of something where people aren't showing up with beers in their hand, and if they are, they're getting their butts kicked. So grateful to be joined by you today. 22 years.
Yes, sir.
All right, in that 22 years, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but for the viewers, maybe describe a little bit about what you did in that 22 years, some of the jobs you've had, and we'll just kick it off there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I served with the New Mexico State Police.
Cool.
I went in, 01. Our academy started. I chose that agency because it was a 16-week live-in academy then. It's changed now. It's still live-in, but it's a little longer. And my understanding and the research I had done, even talking to other police officers who were in the field and other agencies, said, no, you need to go there for the training. Like, they will train you, and they trained me. So, again, live-in, it was very much like the Marine Corps. It was run that way. Everything was military, dress right dress, all that type of stuff. So that was not a shock, but that was an adjustment. And I went in at a later age. I went in at 31.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time not wandering, but doing things and not really sure what I was going to end up. But part of me always wanted to be in law enforcement. And I guess I can also lead into a story of how I actually finally did it. The movie Gladiator came out. Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Get the year, probably 2001. Went to see that movie one night. And I'm a guy, I go to the movie, I have my popcorn, I was told later that eating those little kernels, the ones that get stuck in your teeth, that stuff, had blocked the entrance to my appendix. So ultimately ended up with an appendix rupture, which I was very stubborn, and I dealt with for probably 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
Before I finally gave in to go get medical attention, and I was probably on my deathbed without realizing it, because I had already ruptured and leaked. And so anyways, get in the hospital, I go through all that. I spent 9 days at the hospital, lose 20 pounds. And in that hospital, I made that decision. I said, I need to do what I said I was going to do. And that was the law enforcement thing. So pretty much just got out of that. I recovered very quick.
Normally people go in right away when they...
Yeah, I'm not that smart, Chris. I think we've talked about this offline. I'm very stubborn. I'm very tolerant to pain sometimes, and that's good and bad at the same time, right? Like the blessings I have in me are also some of the things that may not be good.
Sure.
The plus was, I'm like you, I was fitness orientated. You know, I was always beating myself up in the gym or doing something, so that aided my recovery. I got out of the hospital after that 9 days. A week later, I was cleared 100%. And they were like, it's very odd that people get cleared 100%, but you're cleared. And they think it's just because of the way my body was before.
Yeah.
So, you know, having these things in my corner, I pushed it, but I made that decision. I am doing this, period. So that's how I got there. The academy was, man, wow. You know, the onslaught that came at you.
And it was 4 months.
It was 4 months. You live there, you know, you all go in with your family and they greet you and they're like, hey guys, you know, blah, blah. And then they kick your family out and then the reality is
And all that nice guy stuff goes away.
kaboom. And you're like, I mean, I remember to the point where you're running with your stuff and then you're trying to put a key and they're yelling at you and you're like, So you know, it was a lot going on, but I knew in my heart that I wanted to be there, and in my mind, I just always said, I don't have to like it, I just have to do it, whatever comes, whatever comes. You know, tie your shoe, you didn't tie your shoe, right? Okay, yes sir. You know, you just take it and go. You start building that mentality, they start building you into, start kind of wiping away some potential deficiencies. I'm not gonna say that that's really it, but trying to wipe away a certain part of you and bring back a different part of you, right? So get through that. And I remember, I mean, I had a great aunt of mine who was pretty much like a grandmother. She passed away while I was in that academy, you know, and I stayed, you know, I didn't go to the funeral. So that's something, you know, again, I put in my backpack of things that don't know if that was the right decision or not, but my focus was, I was so driven to get through this and be what I said I was going to be, you know. And I also had another setback in the academy. I blew my knee out, you know, total ACL tear. And I remember sitting down with the academy staff, and this was week 6, so I already gone through probably the hardest part where they're, I'm not saying eliminating, but we're trying to see who's going to be the final recruits to graduate. So I made it through that part. And I remember them coming to me and them all standing around me and just these guys in uniform that I aspire to be like. It's kind of a chain of things. There's so much here, right? Like I have Officer Andrew Tingwall, who's I'll potentially mention later, said, and Officer Joshua Chavez, these guys are just monsters to me. You know, they're the drill instructors. And they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, if I have a choice, I said, I'll do whatever I have to do, but I'm not leaving. And this is me, little me, telling them I'm not leaving, which they could be like, yeah, you are actually.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like today, it'd be like, yeah, you are, because we can't take that liability of the medical issue. And so they look at each other, they go, okay, and they walk out, and I'm like, what just happened? You know? So that week was the beginning of our defensive tactics, which, you know, kind of how you and I met, this fighting stuff, the ground control stuff, and I'm like, crap, you know. So I remember sitting out that first week in U brace, and I'm on my little crutches, and I'm watching the class, and I'm like, this is cool, but I'm not learning it, but I'm watching, you know. And that's what they're good with me there, you know, but they're kind of not like have me off to the side, and they're ignoring me because I'm not in it, part of everything, right? I remember the next morning, they call us out, and I come running out without the crutches, and I remember Joshua Chavez, a training officer, he just looks at me and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this man, I'm hoping he sees this.
Yeah.
Gosh, I like to say I'm a tough dude, but there are dudes that tough dudes are scared of. Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Bull rider, just tough fighter, just tough. But to have him just kind of, you know, if it was somebody else, he'd probably be like, what are you doing? You know you're broken, go back, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I went through the rest of the entire academy like that, just on one leg. So it was an accomplishment for me. It meant something. Graduating meant something. Getting out into the field, I was I lived in Albuquerque, but you rarely get to go where you live when you come out, especially if it's Albuquerque. Albuquerque is kind of a dream destination as a state police officer. So I ended up going out to Grants and Gallup, which are west of the state off of I-40, close to Arizona. Blessing, great place to work. Guys were tight. You got to know everybody. My supervisors were great. I was out there, went through training with two different training officers, got to learn the job, see the job, put myself into the job, how I would do, like you pick from this training officer what you like and pick from it, and then you build yourself into that. And I feel as, going in at a later age, I was already a decent person. And I chose the profession because it was in me, it was a calling. And I feel like it's that profession where you volunteer to fight for people who can't fight for themselves.
Yeah, I get that.
It's me,
Yeah.
So it just all really made sense, it all made sense. But then there was a time when, I still had the knee issue, so I get through my coach officer period, I get on my own. That basically means like now I have my own car, call on the radio from my driveway, go out, it's all me. We are very proactive in that area, we do our own thing, we get our calls for service, crashes, whatever. So of course that's a whole nother stuff of things I've seen and done. And then over the time when it was time to go ahead and address the knee and get it fully taken care of. So I did that. Department gave me 9 months to be gone necessarily and get the knee addressed, fixed, surgery and all that. I came back in 3. So again, shows you like, this is where I want to be.
Yep.
And I think that to a therapist, his name was Jose, who I walked into his office, and I'm assuming he did the research before I got there, but he said, all right, walk over there and walk back. So I walk over there and I walk back. He goes, okay, you have a screw here, you have this here. I'm like, oh dang, by the way I walked, he was determining this. He says, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a state police officer. He goes, when do you want to get back to work? I said, yesterday. So he goes, then he looks at the paperwork I had in my hand, which is with the prescription of come in twice a week for 30 minutes. He goes, well, he tore that up, threw it to the side and said, you'll be here every day. I said, you'll be here every day, probably 4 hours a day. And I was like, bet, I'm good with that. He kicked the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And he said, we're not just gonna work your knee, it's your whole body. We're gonna work your whole body. And then there were days I'd get in there like on a Friday, he could just look at me, he said, I was just spent.
Yeah.
They would kick the crap out of me. It was like literally like every day, every something, bow, 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 bow. So he got me back, got me strong, got me going, and I went on and my career just went good, but the way I handled myself in that career was, my goal was to be a professional in the job and do the job right and carry ethics and morale, all those proper things. If I'm off duty and I'm driving my vehicle, use my turn signal, stop at stop sign, do that thing, because I didn't feel that I could do that to people if they didn't do that, if I didn't act that way. Yeah. Was I an angel? No, I wasn't perfect. I was still young, but I really did try to operate that way. On a traffic stop, I tried to get a thank you from the person that I just encountered, even though I was writing them potential citation for whatever the violation might have been. So that was good. That was great. Of course, all my friends and family, for the most part, were in Albuquerque, and I'm still in Grants in the Gallup area, which again was a great area to work. Finally, I did get moved into the Albuquerque area. Once I got in Albuquerque, it was a different system. Get used to it. People weren't as tight, so you were kind of on your own as an officer. I definitely had some friends, but you weren't as tight as you were in those outlining areas in the state police.
Probably smaller teams in those other areas.
You had a small team, but it was only you guys. In Albuquerque, you come into Albuquerque as a state police officer, you're not really running 911 calls because the Albuquerque Police Department is handling those, or the Bernalillo County Sheriff Department is handling those.
Okay.
Your calls are more like, hey, there's a crash on the interstate, there's a crash over there. You're not going to the domestics, violent situations, you're not going to those type of things that you did prior in the other areas where you were the number one. The number one in a municipal like here would be the city, so we didn't see those type of calls, so you had to make yourself useful and produce your own work, right? So doing that for a little bit, and a buddy of mine, his name is Curtis, also my best friends, he he fought to develop a DWI unit to stop impaired drivers. Well, long and behold, that succeeded. I ended up on that unit with him, and we did that for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
To the point where we instructed, we testified in court, we got better, we got our butts kicked initially, but we built, I'm not saying alliances, but attorneys would come in and just wipe the floors with us because they were sharp at that. Well, we turn around and go pick their brains and sit with them and learn, and then we just built these relationships where we got very strong on what we did, and I know we did it the right way. Yeah. I know Curtis's character, he knows mine. We did it the right way. Like it mattered how we did it and why we did it, if that makes any sense. It wasn't just for numbers. I realized I was taking people's freedoms, but to me it was like, I am preventing you from crashing into her potentially later. You don't know that, but that's why I'm here. Yeah. And a lot of it came because we had to do every now and then, especially before we got on that unit, next of kin. Like I that's the worst thing ever. I wasn't trained to go into.
They probably didn't tell you that in training, that you're going to be doing this
really.
thing.
They don't spend time, like here I am walking into your house. I'm in uniform, kind of menacing potentially. I'm 6 feet tall, 230, and I'm about to tell you the worst information that I could deliver, and it was hard, right? Watching your reaction, and this was before I even had a family. It would be really hard now. So part of the desire to be on that DWI unit was to be ahead of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ahead of that crash, ahead of that potential fatality. And I could tell you that while we were on that unit, we didn't have to do those.
Was it a goal of yours to get with the family before like the coroner? That's like the decent thing to do, right?
Yes. It was kind of our responsibility to, and you couldn't, pick up the phone and call, hey, by the way, it was show up and pay that respect, Yeah. And I could tell you one that really got me. I had one. My sergeant calls me and says, hey, we do a next of kin, and this is a remote area, so I had to get out there, right? He said, but we're not 100% sure if this is his residence or not. Oh, wow. So I had to go to the residence, and then, hey, do you know Joe? Yeah, and does Joe have 2 elbows? You know what I mean?
Right.
We had to go,
sure
drive this and do that, yeah. Oh yeah, well, by the way, he is passed. You know what I mean? It was like, what? Like first what did he do now and just deliver that. And I remember that one. I'm like, God, walking out of that. And I did that one. I was by myself on that one. And I was like, man, I don't want to do that again. Yeah. Like that was hard to do the ID and then deliver the news and then watch the fallout and be there for the fallout. Yeah. And then how do you excuse yourself out of that? What do you do? The reactions are there's so many reactions. You can have 4 people, one runs into the kitchen, one falls on the ground, one looking at you like, oh, I understand, sir, you know what I mean? And then one's like, you're like, what do I do? Who am I now? What's my purpose here?
I'm grateful you shared that, because I think oftentimes we look at law enforcement in the community and we're like, oh, they write tickets and they take you to jail. But I think we're missing a tremendous foundation of which, you show up and fight, especially passionate officers like yourself, you show up and fight for people who can't. Yeah. And that involves a plethora of things. Yeah. And potentially delivering that news, what could be someone's worst day of their life, that's heavy.
It's hard, And I remember doing one with Curtis, and Curtis is close to my size, one of the toughest guys I know, best friends, and both of us just delivering the news together. And we were both like, just inside, we're those ducks, we're floating up underneath, where inside I'm a mess too, It's like, this is hard,
Yeah.
It was tough. It was really tough, and that was, again, it helped when we did that work later, because it was very preventative of that, But I do have I don't know if I call it a good story, but we had, there was a passing of a Texas DPS officer, and I was working a graveyard shift, a night shift, and I got assigned, and I'm very honored for this. And I got assigned to the officer had a sister that was in the Albuquerque area that needed to get out to Texas. So my job was throw her in my car, and so I did, and put her in my car, and we hauled ass. I mean, it was middle of the night, it was nighttime, just on I-40, and was to deliver her to another officer to get her to be by her brother. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And minimal conversation, you know, but the honor to get her out there, that was huge. It was one of the most things they don't talk about, but I thought that was an amazing thing. I'm not saying I loved every minute of it, but it meant something.
Yeah.
To get her closer to him as fast as possible. And it was literally like, it was dark out, boom, 110, 120, 130, 140, we were gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we were moving. And she was there right there with me. And my job's, I'm getting you there. I'm getting you there, period, getting you there.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. You know, you spoke about something on the front end. You talked about your backpack, putting stuff in the backpack. And I had assumed that we were in the 16 weeks of this intense training, who you said is one of the better academy trainings around. I have to imagine that they didn't tell you about the backpack and all the things you were going to have to put in there.
Yeah, no.
So one of my questions is, why do first responders have to put that stuff in a backpack?
Because of the next thing.
Because there's always something you got to show back up for, right?
The next thing. Yeah.
So you don't have time to process.
No.
And in fact, processing would delay you being able to show up presently
Right. Yeah.
for your friend that you had to drive to Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
That, and then, you know, there's stigma.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this in, you know, other conversations. You build yourself into this thing, like we talked about. Say, I want to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. So, what are you fighting? You're fighting potential monsters. Well, what do you have to become to fight a monster? You have to be a monster. And I'm one of those firm believers, as the more you climb or the more you build into something, you have to leave something else out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what that is, it could be anything. You
Yeah.
know, some people go, oh, it's a shoe collection. I just can't be too attached to my shoe collection anymore. I got to be this. For me, I guess you got to get selfish. And you got to get, just sensitivity stuff has to, you know, I don't have time for that. You know, so you know, law enforcement, first responders, fire, we tend to have that gallows humor where we're at a horrible scene. Like I think there was a scene over here, and we kind of laugh about things. Not laughing at the scene, not to be disrespectful towards the victims, but it's how we cope with being there. The smells, I mean, there's smells now that would trigger me to like, whoa, you know what I mean? There maybe even songs that might trigger me, like, oh, I remember, you know, so we put this stuff away to go to the next, And some of the things we put away are an argument with my wife or something that happened at home. I can't deal with that right now because I can't carry that out there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those firm believers where I can get shot in the elbow and live, or I can get shot in the elbow and die if I give up. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we put this armor on, we put this stuff away, well, when you retire, got this armor on, I've got this backpack. You know, I still want some of the armor, but I don't need all this armor. I don't want to walk around looking at everybody like, can I kick that guy's butt? Can I, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I know my skills. I still teach shooting. I'm in jits with you. We're doing things. I still have that, but I don't want to be that. You know, and that's the hard part to let go of. I still have this backpack. I have this like right now in my backpack, in my head, I'm going over the things that could have been. And any one of those things does not have me in this chair right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
close calls.
The things that could have been, I easily not be here, easily. And I'm not gonna say any of it's necessarily a skill thing. It's just the way things went and potential luck. you know. And there were some skills like, oh, I need to do this, do that, tactically be sound, and that saves me versus being blind. But there's a lot of close calls that when you get out and you start looking back, you start to, whoa, you know. So I'm in that world dealing with some of that. I'm dealing with some of the things I've seen. Not so much some of the things I've done, because I really believe that I was righteous and I did things a good way. I didn't want to be that type of police officer you had a bad experience with, because I've had bad experiences with police officers.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that. I'm not going to say that's how everything worked out, but my goal was not to treat people bad until I had to or whatever. So just a ton of stuff, you know, ton of that.
25 years ago, you know, it's different. It's a little bit different now. A lot of people talk about mental health. They talk about therapy and they talk about external resources. Right. Did you know anybody 25 years ago when you started that was, hey man, I'm actually getting therapy with this guy. It's working out really well. Did you hear any of that going on?
I know that we had post teams
Okay.
and teams like that, and we had officers that would pass away. We had opportunities, but I was young. You know, I'm putting the armor on still. I'm running at stuff when I really should be walking, because I'm going to get there either way. You know what I mean? So you're not hearing what you need to hear early because you're blocking it. Honestly, you're moving on and you're running and gunning. And you're the first. You're chasing stuff that you can walk after. So it existed. I don't want to, you know, burn the department. Because whatever happens, they were aware of it, but the stigma was very old-fashioned then, you know, me a little bit more now, and that's why I was like, you know, I want to put the message out as 200-pound man, fighting man, this and that, hey, we're all, none of us are 100%. Like, we do our job, we're professional, but we carry some of that with us. So it was there, but I not say blind to it. I chose to not look at it as much. I didn't really look into the mental health until the pregnancy of my daughter. I have a daughter, she's 21 years old. During pregnancy, she was diagnosed with some major tumors and potentially may not, you know, have the ability of even being born.
Wow.
And her mom, which we were great friends, man, we're all great. I'm so blessed for the family that we all have. We're not together now, but we're great friends. You know, I was there through the appointments, through the things, and her mom would just fall apart. You know, I get it, but I never had the time, and we weren't together. So she'd fall apart, and I'd be there, and then she'd go be with her, and I'd kind of go wander off and be on my own. And then I was at that point where, man, I tell my family, but this is such a bad situation. I don't want them to hurt either, so I delayed on that. So basically, I carried it all myself, but I didn't have the shoulder to cry on that she did. So that was effective to me. You know, that caught up to me. And so I sought therapy. I started seeking therapy then, just because we weren't together. She wasn't happy about that. And going through what she was going through. So there was a lot of things being said to me and about me and how worthless I potentially would be and all this. And carried weight. And then I remember talking to my sergeant. He's like, well, why don't you take the time off? And I said, I can't. I said, sitting here hurts. Being out there, I'm useful. I need to be useful. So I would backpack it, head on out, and go do that. And I never really had that moment, that time to fall apart, because the next thing came up, right? And in some places, in some ways, it made me tough. How did it? You know, I don't know. It got me through the career. Thank God we went on. My daughter was born. We got through surgeries, multiple surgeries. We went on. She's
everything
21.
worked out.
Everything worked out. I mean, it's a different lifestyle for her, but she's you know, she's excelling. The families all we're great as families, two different families, but we all help each other. My family, their family. I mean, I can't ask for better. I mean, we got past the things that were said and done. 'Cause a lot of things were said that affected me.
Yeah.
I was the type of guy that, you hit me with some sticks, it hurts, but words from somebody that meant something really, really hurt me, So there was that. That was in there, and that was early in my career,
What did you get through when you were able to go into therapy? I know it was 21 years ago, but what did you draw from that experience that you didn't have? Or were you able to peel the armor off back then at all?
I had to be rescued in some ways. I had to be reminded that I wasn't going to be worthless, that I wasn't going to be a bad thought, that I wasn't, because I was lost, there was a lot of things said, and we're all past it now, but there was a lot of things said that really made me question who I was and who I was going to be and how I was going to get there, The law enforcement, the job helped me. It gave me some purpose, I was able to go out there and be impactful on other people's lives, hopefully in a good way. But my own life was in shambles. So
Can relate to that, man.
it helped me. It was like the massage for the brain. It helped me. It helped remind me that I'm okay. And then, and that therapist, man, I wish she was here in Colorado. Meant so much to me, and she's been there. I mean, I had her for 20 years after I stayed.
Oh, good.
Just continuous, and we had several talks about several things. We got past that, but she always was just there for me, and she would always remind me that you do a job that's just thankless, and unfortunately society, the way they are, that they don't realize the burden that it takes. I said, they'll defund the police, they'll make these comments to do this, to do that, and I understand all that, but they're not in those shoes.
Yeah.
They're not in the shoes. If they were in the shoes, then it'd be different. But society's not. Society's changed. We've seen it. This in entitlement and this and that. Someone's going to go fight for you. Well, you got to support them. You may not like the way they're doing it, but you've got to give them some support to do that fight for you. Because if they don't fight for you, you have to fight.
Yep.
But you'd rather fight them that are fighting for you. Politics of law enforcement changed, and I've seen this and that. But you need something like that. You need somebody out there, because if you don't, you allow, something in that you don't want in, and you want to protect.
It's so true. I mean, even in the pandemic, and we support the police here in Colorado Springs probably better than anywhere in the state. And I remember getting robbed in the pandemic, broke into my garage, took this, that, and the other thing, and it was 3 hours before law enforcement got there. And now it's a lot better, but I think the folks that are kind of, non-supportive of that, they don't understand. They're not relational and friends with people like yourself who show up for people who can't fight. And I have to imagine that a lot of the law enforcement that you worked with in your units were just like you.
Yeah. You'd hope so. I mean, it's a calling, right? It's kind of what you are. You're passionate about what you deliver, and I think you have to be passionate about this. But society asked for this watered down system a little bit because they didn't like that. There's bad officers.
Sure.
There's
always going to be that, right?
We go back to Rodney King, right? Yeah. That situation was horrible. But if I was there that night, Rodney King, the size of that man, on PCP, on a one-on-one, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
But you also got to look at the fact that you get into this dynamic event. You go into a red that you don't just turn off, right? Like, oh, it's over now. He's subdued. It's hard to just turn off unless you've trained for that.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I do jiu-jitsu. It's part of the reason why my strength conditioning
you can
was
be cool and present.
high level. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there, right?
You know how to protect yourself.
Yeah, you have to protect yourself, and you have to stop right now.
And not every police officer knows how to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So they get fearful.
I've stopped some, believe it or not.
Really?
I've come across people, I'm like, I got them. And they're coming because they just had 30-minute car chase with that person, and they were in the red. I got him.
Cool off. Yeah.
Cool off, I got him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been there, right? But again, that stuff all stuff that goes in the back, like that turning off, right? I'm in a fight for my life. Like I got into it with a murderer one night. Turn it off afterwards, like nothing. It's never like nothing. Everything is something.
Yeah.
You know, break into a car, get ready, I'll potentially shoot a person. Didn't have to. It's not nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it all backpack.
I noticed too that we have a couple law enforcement guys at the gym. I think Andy and Tom, and they say that they're able to go into these situations because they really know how to protect themselves. And the last thing they do is grab their gun. They know as long as there's no weapons or things like that or high risk stuff going on, they know they can be cool, calm, and collected. And I feel like a lot of law enforcement, it would do them a lot of service for everybody to just roll jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think, like, for me, there's a book called Warrior's Mindset. Second chapter is strength conditioning. I feel like the more uncomfortable, I mean, I know how you work out. Workouts can be uncomfortable. You're pushing yourself. But the more you do that, the more you can handle the uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
So we pushed ourselves to a point where, like, it hurts here, but you get through it. And same with jiu-jitsu, it hurts, but you got through it. And you learn a little bit every day, You train. You're not exercising, you're training to be better. You're not exercising, that's just wiggling around. You're training. So it's like you're getting somewhere little by little that helps you later in a certain situation. I know Tom, like those situations that I've been in when I dealt with the murder, and I found out he was a murderer 2 days afterwards.
Oh, shoot.
So I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
So that's part of the kicker, right? Like, oh, we're gonna fight. Okay, boom, you know.
Yeah.
I won. You know, lucky.
Yeah.
But then later on, hey, come to the Albuquerque Police Department, Homicide Division. Hey, what's going on? Hey, yeah, that guy. Yeah, he murdered somebody 2 hours before. Here's the murder. The video of it. Like, whoa.
Dang.
Now I know why he fought me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what his end game was. I didn't know that at the time. I had to deal with what I had to deal with. Read it and do it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. You know what I mean? Back in the backpack, right?
Yep.
It gets in there, but I got through that situation because of how I trained and who I was. You know what I mean? We talked about like hand on the gun. You don't have to be. No, if you're aware, pay attention, you know you can get that thing out and fire 2 rounds in a second if you had to. Right? Or you know what you can do to clear your space to get that and do that. I teach that now and I do that now, but you can't walk around like, hey, how are you? You know what I mean? You know, because that sends a different message. That sends a message you're relying on this to save you. I rely on this to save me, right? And my goal was pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to that. Like that particular encounter with that gentleman, Curtis was dealing with him first, and Curtis was going to put him on the ground. The guy did some time in jail. In jail, they practice how to beat us, a lot of stuff like that. He steps out of it, then I get a hold of him. I calm him down, and then we get into it, and then I dealt him. I put him to sleep.
Yeah.
But it was slow motion for me. It was easy.
Yeah.
Now, had that been John Jones, a lot different.
Would have been my day. Yeah.
But I was highly trained. I was better than that guy at that moment and ready for that moment, and not when I finished. There was no continuation. There's no more. It was just done. Got him.
Do you feel that piling up like all these situations, events, scenarios, next to kin, babies dying? You know, that's just another Wednesday. Can you feel in your nervous system this grief adding up, or was it not until you got out of law enforcement and retired that you were like, poof, it was really top of mind?
I think it was more at the end.
Okay.
Right about 2 years before I retired. 2 years before I retired, somewhere in there.
20 years in.
Yeah, like I'm getting there, you know. I can see the end. I'm at the aircraft section. Great, we're rescuing. We're doing cool stuff that, like, it's a dream job. It's a whole nother level.
Because you were special operations, right?
Yeah, it was cool. We could talk about it. But one night I'm sleeping, and bing, I woke up, and I was overcome. Grief. I grabbed my iPad. I went to the notes page. I started typing. Pretty much typed a 2-page letter to my close family, my wife, you know, just my family. And basically I was like, I'm so sorry.
Mm.
I've not been here. You know, my sister, Kelly, was a pitcher in Albuquerque, went on to number one pitcher in the state of high school, went to the Goodwill games in Italy, went on pitch in college at UTEP. I never saw her play.
Oh, wow.
I saw her when she was young, but I never saw her in UTEP.
Because you were in it.
And I was so busy with my career of duty bound, doing me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I just wrote, it just came out, man. Blah 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 blah. Just, you know, the synopsis of it. I'm so sorry that I haven't. I mean, I've been here physically. I've been around. I've done things, but you're always, you know, one foot out the door to rescue whatever.
Super hyper vigilant too.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. So I was there and wasn't there at the same time, and
Yeah.
so that was when I knew it's time.
It's interesting you say that, because when I've had the chance to sit with first responders and veterans, combat veterans specifically, they tell that same story.
Yeah.
That they were fully in on this thing, and they come in and they retire and they get to this point, or they, you know, finish up their service and they come in and they're like, I need to apologize to my family.
Yeah.
Because they see it so clearly. And I have to imagine the birth of your second
I
kid
was
was
gonna
a
say
big
that.
impact.
Cannon was, wow. Well, number one, I was 47 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, I'm old.
Wait, what?
It's like, I know. No, I'm old. You know, so I'm gonna try to get emotional, but
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, oh my, I don't want to be a burden to this young man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's gonna have to wheel me around. He's like, babe, what? You know, it's like, biggest blessing in the world,
Yeah.
you know? But that's when the career got scary for me.
Okay. It's almost
Because-
like finishing up a tour.
Yeah.
In
And
Iraq.
then, well, you know, not to downplay my daughter, but I was different.
You were young, yeah.
I was young
Mm-hmm.
and dumb. I mean, 100%.
Mhm.
But I was good at what I did. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I wasn't bad. I was good. I was acquiring skills. I mean, that agency, we had people around us. I mean,
Just amazing.
shooters.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I got to pick brains of people. Greg Jackson, people like that were around us. You know, we honed a lot of that. You know, so you always saw the tough side of everything, and
Yeah.
and you pick the brains of those people, and you know, get things, and you build yourself into something. But you know, we didn't sit down and say, hey, how's your mental health today? You know what I mean?
Right.
I wish we did.
Yeah.
You know, they did come a couple of times, you know, and you know, we can get into that. But you're building this. So with my daughter, you know, yeah, we have a great relationship. But the relationship I have with Cannon and the time of, you know, again, 47 as opposed to 33, 30,
Right.
That's a
Huge
big difference.
difference,
And a
yeah.
lot of stuff done in between there. You
Yeah.
know, I learned I was a ground control instructor, you know, tons of stuff, you know, skills
Yeah.
just thrown on me. I was a tactical fight officer instructor. So I taught how we operate in the helicopter and all the stuff that we did, comms and everything. So a lot of skill set. But yeah, when Cannon was born,
Was it when he was born or when you found out she was pregnant?
a little of both.
Yeah.
I mean, when I found out, I was like, oh, you know, like, well, I wanted to retire and travel the world. Now it's going to be different, right?
Yeah.
Now I got to raise this young man. But I was honestly scared. Like, well, I'm old, babe. I don't like, you know, when he's 10, I'm going to be 57. I don't want him wheeling me around. I don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that I also said, well, I got to train then. I got to
Yeah.
stay in shape. I got to stay doing stuff because I don't want him to say, hey, Dad, let's go play at the park. And me say, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. No, I'm going to go do that, you know.
To your point too, it's different when, obviously when you mature a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and you get to see it, but also like fathers having sons. I know from my two boys, I mean, they look at me like I'm their absolute hero. You know, and I'm sure from the moment he could, he's been looking at you like, you just show me the way, Dad.
You know, if he looks at me the way I look at my dad and my stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it, you know.
It's high regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High regard. People did part of my life that man, they shouldered stuff that I can't imagine. Now I'm like, you know, starting to see it. But but I'm scary, you know. This is the scariest thing ever to me, is being a dad.
Yeah.
And being now a more mature dad, it's even more scary.
Yeah.
You know, and then I told an attorney one day, you know, he was giving me a hard time about something in the courthouse, and I said, you know, if you'd seen the things I see and done the things I do, when you watch TV tonight at home, on your couch, you put a seatbelt on. I mean, like, you would just buckle, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just seen so much and done so much. I said, and it's out there. It's right outside, right now. There's horror out there, you know, that we want to protect our kids from. And then when you learn about it, or you're a part of it, or you're working to defeat that, and you see it at that level, it's tough.
You almost know too much for sanity in that moment.
Yes.
What shifted for you? You talked about being in some fear when Cannon was born, and in your last couple of years of law enforcement. What was scary about that? Is you wanted to come home more than ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to come home more than ever. Want to raise him. You know, want to be present. That's good. This is where it gets emotional. It's just want to be a good dad this time. I wasn't a bad dad with my daughter. It's just that I was in a different spot in my life, and now I have a chance to be better at that. But there's a message that needs to be passed on from a father to a son that I want to do, and you know, you and I are both realizing this now, and I want to make sure I was around to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I need to be here to deliver this, to get him, to hand him off to the world. You know, and that's big.
It's a big responsibility.
Big responsibility for me.
Yeah.
So it made me scared, because what we were doing, there's some funny stories to it. We obviously were doing car chases, things like that, but we just got into the world of hoist rescuing, right? Where you're on the helicopter and you're hoisted up, and so we're getting ready to do some kind of funny story. You know, again, we're tough guys, and you know, tough guy here, you know, and the crew comes in to teach us hoisting, and you know, we're doing a briefing on them Monday. So we're gonna spend a week with these guys, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do this, you know, crawl, walk, run, move slow, and then, you know, by Thursday we'll be picking up live loads. Like, some of you guys will be hooked up to the helicopter, and we'll go on and we'll start working all that stuff. So we train to operate the hoist, where you're standing on the edge of a helicopter, looking down, picking somebody up, or you're riding up the hoist, right? So it was training of two ways. And I remember we come in Tuesday, everybody's feeling good, you know, and they look at me and say, you know what, we're ready for live loads, and you're up. All right. And I'm like, oh.
I never hung out of a helicopter
Like,
before.
it was a tough guy, right?
Yeah.
Just right on. So there was that, you know, and wow, you know, you're feeling the hurricane winds of the rotor wash. You're grabbing this thing, you're hooking up, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
You know, and you're in somebody else's hands.
That's wild.
And you have to be okay with it.
Yeah. It's almost like trusting your climbing partner to like belay
It
you.
was, right?
They
Like,
can drop you.
Yes, and then it was trusting the gear. We check our gear, triple check our gear. I go to you to check my gear, go to producer to check. You know, we were all checking our gear so much, because the company that we used, they're former law enforcement, and they named themselves after one of their fallen brothers who was seasoned at that, who fell to his death.
They probably tell you
So
about that. Yeah.
doesn't matter how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, complacent. I'm not gonna say he was complacent, but complacency can get you, right? So it mattered, right? So now I'm doing something scary, scarier. Like, when I got recruited for the job, they sat me down and said, hey, we want to take it in a different direction. We'll make more tactical, more law enforcement. I said, you want to, you know, high regarded officers. You're friendly with the tactical team. You're friendly with. We need someone like you, because we can embed you into a tactical environment down here, or put you in a helicopter here. You've seen them both. I'm like, ooh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I went to my family and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And make sure I had the blessing from my family, you know, because gravity's undefeated, you know.
Sure is.
Gravity's undefeated.
Yeah.
You know, we're still learning it now in JITS and everywhere. You know, takeoffs are optional, but landings are pretty damn mandatory. You're gonna land. Right, so there was a scariness to it, but there's also a challenge. Like, I'm gonna learn an aviation language that I don't know. But anyway, so just putting all that together, you know, was another accomplishment and something different. And I'm not good with heights. Like I walk to the edge of something, I get that whoa,
Yeah.
whoa feeling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
But on the edge of a helicopter, you can sit me there all day.
Feel good. When you're coming out the edge, there's no hole in the middle.
No, there's no
So you
hole on
gotta
the
come
edge,
off the
and
side.
you are just we run like a
Carabiner
lanyard.
away.
But they're strong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You fall out, you're gonna look silly.
Yeah.
But I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I can accomplish that, but I can't stand over an edge like not comfortably. I could do it, but I'm like, ugh, you know. But you know, you got to remember, or you inside, you know that if I go out, that's it. You know. And I talked to another friend of mine who was with the Albuquerque Police Department. He had retired. He goes, "You can retire, right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm getting there." He goes, "You need to. You have a son." I was like, "God, you're right." You know what I mean? I was like, "Yeah, you know," and that starts to have it. But I had a different reason to live. I'd done my duty. I did the law enforcement thing where I was out there for other people and doing the best I could. But it was time to be there for me. And then, of course, having Cannon, and my wife and I got married right before we had Cannon. You know what I mean? So now she's not my girlfriend. You know, she's my wife now.
Yeah.
Now everything really matters, and have a more reason to walk in that door every night. You know, and it weighs on you. And it's, you know, you talk to military guys and things like that. It's a great thing, but it also hinders. You know, some will say, "Yeah, I can't be thinking about home right now because I've got this mission to take care of." It's a lot.
That's what I was going to ask you. It's like, what was harder? What you walked through in law enforcement, or what you're walking through afterwards, trying to be the best father that you can be?
Afterwards.
Yeah, right. And most people be like, "Man, that high risk stuff with helicopters and all this stuff," and you're like, "Man, no, this life thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
This marriage thing.
Yeah, relationships.
It's almost like you survive all this. I mean, you're surviving literal bullets, whatever. And the way you communicate with your wife at home hurts way more. Way more.
Because you can't communicate the way you were in law enforcement,
No.
which is very direct, oftentimes rigid.
And
to
she'll
the
tell me,
point.
"I'm not your law enforcement.
Yeah.
You don't debrief me." You know?
Yep. My wife's done it too, man. I'm not one of your clients. You're
Yeah,
not a therapist.
yeah.
You know, that kind of
So
thing.
it's hard, you know. It's you survive all this to feel the pain here. You know, so something that it's in, you know, work in progress. You know, hopefully with my wife and I.
What is some of the stuff you've done to recover from what you walked through in 22 years since you've been out? Have you sought any resources or?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some therapeutic sessions. Jiu-jitsu's a big one.
It's huge, man.
Obviously, we got Cannon in, and that's thanks to a friend of ours, Tyler, who's a son Cannon there.
Kill it.
So Cannon's there, and then I say, I got to get back. You know, I said I need to do something. So that helps me. But the biggest thing is I retired May 1st, 22.
Okay.
And if you remember, we had an event in Texas, Uvalde, that happened May 24th.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was an active shooter instructor for our department too, and so I knew what nationwide, what we teach is similar because we need to be on the same page as what we were looking at. We never taught 77 minutes before you go in there and do what you need to do, right? You know, which is what that took. So I'm watching that unfold, and I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. I look at my wife, she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, no. I said, "No." I said, I don't want to be a cop again. I don't want to do that. I did that already. I said, but I need to be more effective. I have skills. I have stuff that I can still provide. And needless to say, I mean, I retired. I literally retired, and people ask me, "Why did you retire?" I retired to be a husband. I retired to be a dad.
Yeah.
I retired to be a brother, son, uncle, all those things. I was those things before, but I also had this duty where I wasn't those things. And I retired at a time when we were getting raises were coming, things were coming, and I still, nope.
Because great first responders like yourself have to be a first responder first.
Yeah.
It's almost a prerequisite to going out there and staying safe, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So as you climb a ladder of greatness, whoever you may be, you potentially could leave things at the bottom of that ladder, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that anymore. And like I could have easily, I mean, it was cush. I'm 6 minutes away, have a sick vehicle, $12 million helicopter that I
All
get
the
to hang out in.
benefits. Yeah.
We fly, we see things, we help. Man, it was so awesome, but it was time.
Yeah.
It was time to be a better husband and things like that. So, right, like, kind of going back to what you said, where's the pain? Well, the pain's after, because it's almost like too little too late. Like, here I am, everybody. And they're like, we've been here without you.
If you got a 60-pound mountaineering backpack on that
I'm like, yeah.
weighing you down.
And then now they just do more in it. Like, what do you mean? I'm here.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm back.
Right.
I'm like, and?
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
you know, and it, of course, that wasn't literally, but it's how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's how you feel. It's how you felt. But there was also some immense joy too, right? Like, and I think I've mentioned to you before, is getting Cannon in jits. He's 4 years old. I'm sitting on the sideline, sitting with you or Cassidy. You know, the friends that we have, mutual friends. That, man, this place Prime has been great. Yeah, I know you've plugged Prime. I'm plugging Prime.
Yep.
It's been so great. But watch Cannon for that hour blows away the 22 years.
Yeah.
And I've done some things, Chris. I've seen some things, done some things. I've been effective. I've been great at what I've done. But being there for that hour trumped that, because I couldn't do that in the past. I literally had 2 phones. If I were to take Cannon to jiu-jitsu or an event, Alicia would come in her car, I'd come in my car. And probably have to walk out halfway through. So just to be there, to be present, was the joy, right? That was the joy. And at the end of the day, Cannon don't care. I'm a state police officer. He's been in the helicopter. He's helped me tug. He's seen all that stuff, but he don't care. He just cares about his ice cream.
And cares about Dad.
Yeah. Hey, Dad, can we get ice cream? You know what I mean? Or hey, can we go to? And it takes a while to come back to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to come back to. The hardest thing for anybody is the hardest thing for anybody, right? We all have different experiences. And I don't share all the stuff that, you know, he doesn't know the dangers I've been in. My wife doesn't know half the dangers that I've been in and stuff, but their dangers are different. Like, you know what I mean? I'd come home and have to deal with something, potential argument. It was like, I'm like, okay, but I just, right?
So hard to shut that
I had
off.
to be reminded, thanks to my therapist, that was an important thing for them, and it mattered to them. So you need to make it matter to you, regardless that you've just got into a physical fight with a murderer and had to subdue him.
Now it's dinner time.
Didn't take,
You know?
You didn't take the trash out,
we're sitting
or
here
you
like-
didn't put the toilet seat down.
it's like, dang.
Yeah. But I had to be reminded that mattered to that person. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So again, it's all stuff in the backpack, you know, in the armor and this and that. So anyways, going back to what we mentioned, the Uvalde thing, I ended up throwing out my resume and getting an interview with the Academy School District 20 here to be an armed security officer. So, and that's my retirement gig, and I love it. I'm at a middle school, and I didn't know at the time that I would love it the way I love it, because being there, it's an amazing landing spot coming off of where I come from. I get to maintain the exact same schedule for my son, so I get to be home and be a dad. And then I also get to interact with, in a sense, this innocent crowd that doesn't know who I was, what I did. They're just being them, going through their life. You know, so it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I'm finding my feet again.
Yeah, you said before the show that you love working with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love being around them.
That's a tough age.
Right. Yeah,
Lots
and
happening.
I think it's a perfect age for me. I think elementary school would have been, wouldn't have been bad.
Yeah.
I'm at a middle school group. I think high school, no.
Too much.
I think high school would have been like, I'm a cop again. I don't
Yeah,
want to deal with
exactly.
criminals. Like
Junior high is a
they're-
real serious inflection
yeah,
point.
it's a you know, they're learning how to walk, talk. They're figuring out who they might be. And I've met some great little young kids, you know, and some that I've talked to for 3 years and watched them grow. But I really believe that it's helped me more than I've helped it. My skill set in that building is greater than the building, right? Like what I can do, hopefully never have to, it's you know, it's lopsided. Right?
Yeah.
If we get something, I'm equipped to deal with it, hopefully knock on wood. But what they give to me, unknowingly, from the educators to the students, is tremendous. My wife's like, "Oh, you're doing that. You can go do this and make so much more, and do this and make so much more. You can teach this, you can teach that." I said, "Yeah, but this is for me."
It's filling you up.
And yes, it's filling me up.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my work. I'll sit down with folks that are 5 days sober, just coming off the worst day of their life, and I'll walk away, they'll say thank you, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
This has impacted me far greater than anything I could have ever said or done.
Yeah. It's like, even some of our conversations we've had, and some conversations with other fathers and parents at jiu-jitsu, it's just, regardless of who I was and what I did, right now we're all in the fight to be parents.
Yep.
And I say that because that's how we've all met, and that's how we've become, but we all have our backpacks for different reasons, but we're all right now, and again, another plug to Prime, because that's how a lot of us met, through Prime.
Yep.
We're bettering our kids.
Yep.
And a lot of us are watching our kids, and now we're out there with our kids. And there's several reasons for that. For me, it's like, yeah, you know what? How best to be a partner is be out there and feel it too, and go through it. But that environment, I don't know if I would have had it in Albuquerque so much, but it's helped me get to where I'm at. It's helped us get to where we're at. But
I love what you talk about there, because we talk about it a lot on the show with folks in recovery. It's just about like formulating community. And we get to all go in there with our backpacks, and we get to take half of it out and share it with someone else and split it 50-50.
Yep.
And it feels so much better to do that. I guess where I want to circle back to, or bring up to wrap this thing up, is what would you say to first responders, potentially veterans, folks in the community right now that have that phone in their hand and have been impacted by the trauma that you walked through substance use, exacerbated mental health issues, and it's created a tremendous amount of quality of life issues? What would you say to that first responder who's got the phone in his hand today that's potentially dying one day at a time? What would you say to them in regards to courage and making that call?
I would say that the courage is acknowledging that you need assistance.
Yeah.
Or that you may need assistance, right? Raising your hand and say, hey, excuse my language, I'm a little fucked up.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here today, right? I mean, I'm a 200-pound man. I can fight, I can shoot, I can do a lot of things. But guess what? I'm a little fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's not that law enforcement fucked me up. It's life and stuff. And, but the courage and the strength and the true power is to say, yeah, I need some help.
Yeah.
I want to be helped.
Yeah.
Because I want to be better than I was the day before. So my words to my brother-in-law, he's a firefighter here in town. I'm like, hey, don't be afraid to ask for help. Or don't be afraid to talk about what you've seen. I said, and I'm here for you, because what you've seen and done, you may not be able to go home and talk to your wife, my sister.
Right.
But you can come talk to me.
Yeah.
Because I understand it, because I've seen it too.
Yeah.
I said, and don't keep it to yourself. It's going in the backpack. It's going in the backpack. We'll tell stories, we'll laugh at some of the stories. As many funny stories we have some bad ones.
Yeah.
As many great things that we've done, we've seen some bad stuff, very bad stuff, that sticks with us to this day. But my words of encouragement, or, hey, know what you're getting into, but we need you to get into it.
Yeah.
But have somebody on the other end to help you decipher it, or compartmentalize things, or do the best you can with what you're going to see and what you're going to do. But we need you to see and do those things.
Yeah.
Period. I need you to be a monster.
Yeah.
I said, I need you to. But as you become that monster, you're letting stuff go.
Yeah.
And there's just no room for all of it, but maybe it's close, so when you're done with this, you can scoop it all back in and put it back in. That's the best thing I can say is be ready to talk about it or deal with it, and don't act like it doesn't exist. Don't be ruled by the stigma. Oh, I'm super tough.
Yeah.
I think the toughest people in my eyes are people that can say, hey, I need some help with that.
Yeah.
I need some help, because that's right. We are afraid to do that. Well, now if you're not afraid to do that, well, now it just makes you tough, right?
Right.
And we all need a helping hand. Every single one of us needs help. There's no way we got to where we are without somebody helping us along the way. You know?
That's so well stated. I think we oftentimes talk about it in the recovery field. It's like the first step to fixing a problem or an issue in your life is admitting that you have one.
Yeah, 100%.
That can be the toughest thing, but that was beautifully stated. I think for the folks out there that are struggling or just feeling like you can't pick up the phone, I hope you guys dial into this conversation today with Curtis, his 22 years of experience, his experience as a father, the benefit of hindsight he's bringing to the room, and the openness of which you shared today is really, really beautiful, man. I think the healing process oftentimes starts with authenticity.
Right.
And I appreciate your authenticity.
Vulnerability
today.
too.
Yeah.
Like you gotta know that you know, it's you.
Yep.
People say, "What are you gonna do when you retire?" I said, "I'm gonna look in the mirror. I'm gonna fix that."
Yeah.
Like I don't like what I see. And you know, most people are like, "I don't even notice that they didn't know you're that bad." It's not that I was that bad. I know that I wasn't who I could be. Sometimes I was busy being this, and I couldn't be this and this. I wasn't good at it. Maybe there are people that were.
Yeah.
So now I've got to shift into this thing.
Yep.
And I'm still shifting, I'm still looking at it, and I'm still dealing with the, ooh, man, this could have been this or this could have been that. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, man. I think we scratched the, like, there's so much more, but
I love it,
I appreciate
man.
the opportunity.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that as well. I think it's really vital for our first responders. We care about them, we support them, and we need to ensure that we do that and keep that door open. And so we're happy to have you at Peaks Recovery, whether it's outpatient, inpatient services, where healing can truly begin. And Curtis, thanks again for coming on the show, buddy.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you for the opportunity. The service was my pleasure and my honor, and I appreciate you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. To all our viewers out there, friends, families, colleagues, and coworkers, until next time, peace.